the X-Men, Spider-Man and the Hulk, superheroes are now officially back in fashion, which must mean that it's time for a new incarnation of Superman. Smallville tells the story of Clark Kent before the legend of Superman was born. He doesn't wear glasses, there's no suit, and he can't fly. But Clark is still saving the day. I'm here in Vancouver to meet the best-looking cast in television since Dawson's Creek.
Frank!
You got all the mod content.
37 Frank, take 2.
Hey!
Mark.
I got the tea.
Hey! But for those who are unfamiliar with the Smallville story, here's how it began.
Clark came to Earth in a meteor shower.
Clark still comes from, Krypton. He comes from up there.
There's a spaceship that sort of comes along in this meteor shower.
Meteor shower hits Smallville, kills Lana's parents, blows up water towers, and creates general havoc.
And out pops this little boy. And that's Clark Kent.
This meteor passes by us and we have a crash and we wake up and there's a little child peering in at us.
We adopt him and try to raise him as best as we can. And we realize that he has these differences, and we try to channel that energy into something that is good.
Whilst the average American teenager deals with such traumas as finding a date for the high school prom, Clark's transition from boyhood to adulthood is proving particularly difficult due to his emerging superpowers.
And gradually, he has these abilities that grow stronger and stronger, and he gains some as far as X-ray vision. And there's some more to come, but they don't tell us what they are yet.
He doesn't know that he has these powers yet. So every episode goes by, he finds out something new about himself.
And being an adolescent, this is when his powers are becoming really apparent. I mean, he's floating, which will eventually become flying, but right now he doesn't fly.
So it's sort of puberty with superpowers.
Puberty with superpowers.
Till they crack like ceramic. I was built with the flow, but sank like the Titanic. Rhymes rip through your skull like icebergs through the hull. Survive the impact and Arctic cold freezes your soul. Create a new style, then wait no more.
Whilst that might look like every teenage boy's dream come true, there is a downside. Smallville is rapidly overtaking Sunnydale as the weird capital of the world. And it's all because of these little babies.
Kryptonite has had a great effect on Smallville. It has created all these little, I don't want to call them monsters, but crazy people.
Basically, these meteors cause different people to react in different ways when they come in contact with them.
Pretty much results in them getting some sort of power, turning evil, and then Clark Kent having to save the day.
But where does Clark's desire to do the right thing come from?
What I really like about the show is that the parents are not out of the loop. They're actually there for Clark to go to, and they're actually his best friends.
As his mother, it's like, well, what is this going to mean? Will he have a normal life? We don't know if he can ever be married or have children or have any kind of real relationship. That's my big worry is, well, will he ever really be happy?
This kid could do a lot of damage if he was not watched or not raised up properly.
If he landed a cornfield over and was found by Lionel Luthor, he would grow up with a whole different set of values and morals, and then you get in the idea of why not go into the bank and just take the money? Why go out and earn it when you can just walk in and walk out with it? Where do you get these ideas of how to be a good person or the right thing? And that all comes from Clark's parents.
Of course, the myth of Superman in its various forms has been around for a lot longer than Smallville.
Were you a big fan of Superman before you did this show?
The only thing I really knew about Superman was that my older brother loved him. I mean, I never really cared too much about it.
When I was younger, definitely. Tying the towels around the neck and running around the house, stuff like that.
I had a pair of underoos, we call them. You know underoos?
No.
Do they have those in England?
No.
Well, they're like pajamas, but I had a big S.
Okay.
And they're real tight,
Yep.
real everywhere,
Yep,
real tight.
sure,
And
yep.
back then I didn't have much, so I wasn't worried about it.
Once I got the show, I looked more into it and read a couple books and things like that. And
it's a really interesting story, actually. It's a lot of fun.
The original comic strip, Superman was not a good guy. He was kind of a bad character, and then they knew something was wrong with the story, and eventually they thought, well, he's got to be good. And then it became this whole other thing, and then it took off, and just immediately people just loved it. So that's why it became radio and TV, and then this whole history of movies and things that we have.
But around that time, you must have been too busy being Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard.
I was very busy being Bo Duke at that time. I love the way you say that, Bo Duke.
Just a good old boy.
And for those of you under the age of 25, Bo Duke was the blonde-haired heartthrob in the 1980s cult series, The Dukes of Hazzard.
I was very busy doing that. I was a fan of, certainly of the television show. I did see the movies. I liked the movies.
You know, I saw the Richard Donner movies, the first one with the Lex Luthor portrayed by Gene Hackman. Genius. I mean, how do you top that?
Which is the first Superman that you really remember? Please don't say Lois and Clark.
I think that's I might have to say Lois and Clark. I didn't read the comic books. I didn't know any of the incarnations.
Lois, wake up. I'm getting us out of here.
Did you watch Lois and Clark?
No.
Never?
I've seen a few episodes. Actually, one of the episodes that I came across late night on TV once was this scene where Clark is sitting with his parents and he says, you know, they're talking, and all of a sudden he says, where did I come from? And I was jumping for the remote going, turn the channel, turn the channel. I didn't want to know what what their concept was or what their idea. I just really want to take this on, you know, what Al and Miles, the writers, have given us.
Christopher Reeve, Dean Cain, and now Tom
Welling. But this is, I think, the first young Clark Kent, though, isn't it?
No, I think so. Now, Annette, you were in Superman 3.
Yes.
And who did you play?
I played Lana Lang.
So you've, of course, worked with Christopher Reeve as Superman. So how does our Tom compare?
It's so different because Christopher is playing Superman.
Yeah.
Clark is playing, we don't know Superman exists in our little world of Smallville. I mean, he's yet to be born.
One of the great things about this particular reincarnation of Superman is that we find out why he makes good choices later on in life. We find out that it wasn't always, you know, he didn't land here and decide, I'm going to do the right thing. I know always what the right thing is. With Tom playing Clark Kent, there's many, many times where he just he doesn't know what to do.
Come on, Dad, you played football in high school?
That was different, son.
Why?
You know why.
If we go run at half speed, no one hit anybody.
A lot of things can happen in the heat of the game, son.
Even though the outside of this building looks like an old meatpacking factory, which in fact it was, it houses the three main sets for the programme Smallville. Behind me is Lex Luthor's mansion. On the other side of that, you'll find the Kent family barn. And through that door there is the rather delightful Kent family house. Now, don't be confused if the man you saw sitting down you thought was Tom, who is Clark. It isn't. That's actually his photo double. Oi, Rob, come here. So you are Superman's hand.
Superman's hands. I do a lot of the blur speed stuff.
So do you think, actually, really, it ought to be you?
I'm glad it's me.
No, being Clark.
Oh, should Clark be me?
No, should you be Clark? Fortunately, the rest of the Smallville cast are a bit more on their toes than our Rob was, and they have to be. Other shows can take up to a month to shoot an episode. The Smallville team do it all in 8 days.
We are doing a show called Nicodemus.
Okay.
It's all about these people inhaling the pollen of this special kryptonite-infected flower. I can't believe I just said all that.
Everybody starts, their inhibitions just escape them, and they're free to say what they want, how they really feel deep down inside.
And what's happened, and what's...
Right now we're going into the Kent establishment, the Kent house.
Yeah.
And I show up and I want to see, because Mr. Kent got in a car accident, I want to see if he's all right.
Take two, Mark.
Action!
Hi, Lex, come in.
What do you want?
I heard you pulled one of my employees out of a car today. I wanted to see if you were all right.
No, you didn't. You wanted to see if I was going to sue you or not.
Jonathan, that's enough.
No, Martha, it's not enough. You see, I don't like Lex Luthor. I don't like Lionel Luthor, and I don't like your friendship with my son.
How often do they change what's on the script?
Michael never changes a word.
Really?
Never.
Who's the worst? Who throws in the odd
Well, I
here,
don't
there?
think worse is a fair thing. I would say that some of them take some creative freedom that they're entitled to take.
Cut.
Who's your favourite character, as in the character?
Lax.
Somebody left a chocolate starfish on the counter.
Do you have a laugh? I mean, is it all really heads down when you're filming, or is it quite light-hearted?
We have a laugh, and his name is Michael Rosen.
Yeah.
That's me. You know what they say about men with space in their teeth.
After the break, I'll be touring the set with the Boy of Steel. Plus, find out how our very own Kelly Brook got on with bad boy Lex Luthor.
Want a private tour?
I thought you'd never ask.
We had a kissing scene the first day we shoot together.